Tell us about a movie which is cinematically released.
Mother's Instinct, which is a psychological thriller from French cinematographer turned director Benoit Delhomme, who he won a César for cinematography for Artemisia back in the 90s.
What was that called again?
Artemisia, which I can't recall seeing, although I was working on that. Although that might have been in my wilderness period. The wilderness years.
The long
when you were
lost period.
You were doing the film reviews with James King.
The Dark Ages.
Whatever happened to him?
I saw him on Monday because we were both attending a screening.
Does he still look 12?
Civil War. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. He looks more like Rick Astley than ever at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a remake of a 2018 French film which was based on a 2012 novel by Barbara Abel called Derrière la haine, which I thought meant after the hatred. In fact, it means behind the hatred. So 1960s America, Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway are Alice and Celine, two suburban mothers living next door to each other in kind of classic 60s picket fence surroundings. Their husbands, who look like they're extras from Mad Men, work. They look after their respective sons. They have their kind of, problems. One of them wants to go back to work. One of them doesn't particularly want to have another baby immediately. Anyway, one day, whilst pruning the roses, Jessica Chastain's character looks up and sees Anne Hathaway's character's son precariously balanced on a balustrade on the balcony on the edge of the house, trying to reach a birdhouse. And she, shouts out and runs towards the house, can't get through the hedge, has to go all the way around. Tragedy strikes. When tragedy has struck, the mother of the child who was up on the balustrade starts to perhaps blame her friend for the tragedy, and she then starts spending more and more time with Celine. Celine starts spending more time with Alice's son, and this worries Alice because in the garden, when she's out a few weeks or months later, she looks up and sees her own son up on the same balcony. Here's a clip.
Did you put Theo on that balcony to test me?
Do you think I'm capable of something like that?
Celine.
It helps me to spend time with Theo, and it helps him too. He's lonely, Alice. He's like a ghost without Max. Can't you see that? And did he use him to test you?
Sorry.
I'm
sorry. I feel terrible for getting there for Theo and not for Max. I'm very sorry.
Did you see Eileen with Anne Hathaway? It was a BAFTA contention.
Don't think so, no.
It's kind of a period drama, but it has this kind of broiling sense of psychosexual tension. Coming hot on the heels of this is Anne Hathaway doing another enjoyably overcooked period drama, but this is much. I mean, Eileen actually I thought was comparatively restrained for 2/3 of its running time. This is. At the beginning, you don't know whether or not the whole thing is paranoia, whether or not Alice thinks that Celine blames her for the accident, or whether Celine actually does, or whether it's just that they're reading each other wrong. And then all the emotions start to become more and more heightened. I mean, you heard in that there's a kind of breathlessness in those conversations. Well, that breathlessness kind of cranks up. It's ripe, it's raw, sometimes it seems more like a fashion show than a thriller. I mean, the dresses are absolutely marvellous. There's one moment in which Jessica Chastain's character is wearing, I think it's Jessica, maybe it's Anne Hathaway, is wearing a blue dress and matching blue shoes. And despite the fact that all this stuff is going, you think, wow, that is an absolute ensemble to die for. Scenery is royally chewed by the cast. There's lots of really sort of strong emotions on display. But here's the thing. I kind of enjoyed it because I think if you're going to have a pot boiler, the pot needs to be boiled. And although it sort of starts, you think, I don't know the level of seriousness of this. By the time you get to about halfway through, it's evident that everything is overcooked and ripe. Now, I haven't read the book, and I haven't seen the first adaptation of first film adaptation of it. I think it may be that Benoit Delhomme is sort of aiming for the kind of that iciness of Claude Chabrol, but it is closer to the sort of Almodovar, everything is turned up to 11, and it tips into utter ridiculousness. It's got a great score by Anne Nicotine, whose work I really, really like. And you could very easily just laugh at it and go, this is just stupid. But I think if you're going to have a ripe, raw pot boiler, it needs to be ripe and raw, and it needs to boil. And it does both of those things. And it was just great fun seeing those two actors. They're both great actors.
Fantastic actors.
Really giving it some welly. I enjoyed it.
It's kind of movie that if you said, should we go and see a movie? It's got Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. You probably go, yeah, probably.
You've got Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, and matching powder blue dress and
incredible
shoes.
amounts of lipstick.
You go, yep, I'll have that. And I mean, obviously, like I said, I think it probably intends to be taken more seriously than I did. But if you were like in a cinema or in an afternoon, and you just I don't know anything about this, you're not going to be bored. I think it was fun.